Hello.
Hello, hello.
You are alive, sir.
Yes. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, if you could be a little closer to your mic, it would be even better.
I'll try.
Okay, that's great.
Hello.
Yes, get right up in there. I love it. How are you doing on this fine day?
Good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. I'm looking forward to this. So we have a Night Lord
Me
today.
too. Yeah, Night Lord.
Night Lord just passed level 200, 206, I think I saw somewhere.
Actually, so I used to play back in the day, and then I heard that there was a terror burning event, and with the COVID, decided to play again.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a Phantom terror burn
Mm-hmm.
a month ago. Got that to like 200 and then gave up.
Okay. I see it here,
And then
yeah.
came back 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, came back 2 weeks ago and started playing my main, which is going to be a Night Lord.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
And possibly keeping the future options open in case you want to dual blade or shadow or something.
Yeah, I was thinking about Nightwalker, but I heard that you have to have a specific keyboard and everything, and I tried it on my keyboard, and it didn't really work, so I couldn't be bothered. So I feel like it's not worth it.
Yeah, I don't know if the final changes already went through, but there's some changes in the keys for Nightwalker that they were going to implement, where you could like lock in place.
Where I don't need to have that special keyboard.
I don't know if that's what it specifically means, but you'd be able to like jump attack in place without it moving you around and stuff. Yeah, I'm not 100%, but something is going to change with the control. So make sure that. Yeah.
Is Nightwalker that much better than Nightlord that I should consider switching?
So, what is better? So, Nightlord is specifically very good at burst damage if you can confirm your spread throw. Like, it does insane amounts of damage. So, if your party needs that really big burster, if there's bosses that just, you can just down in one burst and just wait for your spread throw to come back, go to the next boss, it can make it like an easy bosser to just roll CRA on, or maybe like Lotus and Damien, depending on how good you are. If you're going very, very far into the game, Nightlord it runs into issues with survivability. Because you have no iframe, no reduced incoming damage. Nightwalker has the shield that's not super reliable, but they have the one resurrect skill.
Right.
They do have some more in the arsenal. What a lot of people do who will level up as Night Lords, what they will do is eventually turn into dual blades, because dual blades are very solid, like probably among the best bosses in the game, and they also have access to 2 iframes. Yeah, so that's why people don't feel too bad going for like Night Lord over Nightwalker, because you still have the options later on if you want to switch. Of course, you'll have to remake your weapon and your secondary. But apart from that, most of your gear, or pretty much all of your gear,
can translate, right?
Yeah, can just translate over. All you have to do is redo your nodes. But at that point, when you're like very high level and you're considering switching, you probably have so many extra nodes that it's not really like a huge aversive cost where you're like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have 3,000 nodes. At that point, you're so you're so decked out that you probably have that lying around anyway.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Even though when you're starting out with 3,000.
I didn't make it with that in mind. I mean, if I weren't to worry about all these late game stuff, then I definitely want to play Nightlord. But I understand that if things get too difficult, just switch over to dual blade.
Yeah, it's just you're just very, very high on the burst damage, and then off burst your damage is just poop, kind of.
Wow. Okay.
and that like combined with but like the on burst is like insane, but then it's like too much of a high and too much of a low, and you want to be more like stable throughout the boss fights to be more reliable. On top of that, having more survivability, that's why the dual blade tends to come into play.
Yeah.
All right. With that out of the way, so I assume that around these times you have a lot of time to play.
Yeah, pretty much. Whenever I'm awake, I have time to play.
Depending on sleep schedule.
That's the way it is right now.
Yeah,
depending on sleep schedule.
I see. And you're just doing like one PC, just everything on this one account?
Yeah, one PC. I mean, I could have. I have the resources to set up something else, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth the time, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. But then again, MapleStory itself is just a whole. It's. I mean, you know, it's just.
It's a black hole of time investment.
Yep. But I mean,
Yep.
maybe in the future, but definitely not right now.
Yeah, it would depend on on how far you're trying to go, how much you're
Yeah.
trying to like level up your Legion, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would say for Legion, it's very it could be very effective, not having to rely on like huge 2-hour sessions and to have to dedicate your totems to the Legion mules.
Yeah, exactly.
It does set you up for like a level of expectation that you then have to kind of address. Otherwise, it's going to feel really slow. So
Yeah, of course.
that's
I
like the
actually
downside.
experienced that. I tried a couple of the totems on my Phantom
Mhm.
just to reach 210.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when
Now
it
you
wasn't
can't go back.
when it wasn't on, it was just so bad.
Yeah, it's like, where are all the monsters? Why are they not coming back?
Yeah, exactly.
Is the map broken? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally how it feels. So that's like the pro and the con, yeah. And then if you have the second account, because it sounds like you might have like a laptop, but it's maybe not like a great laptop or something.
No, it's a desktop. I just need to set it up if I were to be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great benefit, but yeah, if it like bothers you and it's like very annoying for you, then don't do it, of course.
I understand.
If you want to keep the option open, of course, it might be a good idea to just already make the second account and maybe just Terra burn the Kana, just because Terra burn is still going on now, just to keep your options open.
Yeah.
Because that way you can, also take it with you into Vanishing Journey areas and stuff pretty quickly later on without having to deal with the low-level hassle and all of that.
Yeah, it's just one of those questions where you ask yourself, do I want to commit that hard right now?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, I always go on MapleStory Reddit before I played. I've been keeping, up to date with some of the news and the drama.
The very objective, non-biased.
Kana. I quit around when I tried playing just when Kana was just released, so I know of Kana, and then I quit like really short after, and then like a year ago on Reddit, everyone was talking about getting bans, making a Kana, because they were killing themselves to stay low level, and now I'm back. I know how useful it is. Like I'm aware of that, but yeah, it's just not at a point where I want to be committed to the whole grind.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
that is fine. Just checking out the level of your how much you would want to do that. What is your because if we're talking about upgrading, we're talking about cost, of course. Like, what is your available resources looking at like right now, and what's your income?
Okay, so if you scroll down to there's an inventory image.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have 1.8 bill.
Yeah, I literally just got the Maple Tour payment today.
Okay, and so you're just doing Maple Tour Ursus. That's like most of your income.
That's pretty much all my income, yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from the crystals, but the crystals are almost negligible to.
Yeah, maybe like 100 mil per week or something.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So it's like 1.1 bill per week, roughly.
Yeah, pretty much for now. But obviously, right now, just so much of my time has been reading, leveling.
Reading.
I don't have time to get. My original plan, if you take a look at my characters on the Legion page, I have 5. Okay, maybe 4 days ago, I was about to level up my Kana to start grinding, and then a DMT message came out again, and then I had to prepare for it. So I've just been doing just killing bosses and everything.
Yeah, the upside is lots of events, and the downside is lots of events that like keep you busy.
Exactly, yeah. What took me, the last few days, it's I worked on a synergy ring. Since I just came back, I literally had no resources. But my Wind Archer, the 187 Wind Archer was actually from 2-3 years ago. So thankfully I had that, and the Mercedes. So those two I had from 3 years ago. If it weren't for them, then yeah, I wouldn't even have my synergy ring yet.
Oh, but you do have them on all those characters already, or what?
Yes, I already unlocked it. Already bought it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you have the max set. That's nice. Okay. So what is the goal for now? Like, what are you specifically aiming for?
Well, I mean, everyone's different, right? My type of playstyle is that I 90% of the time can always consider late game. Like, if I use this cube now, could it be saved for 2 weeks later? I might be weaker now, but will it be more useful in 2 weeks? Which is why I still have my bloody 3 packs of red and black sitting around, and why my cold cubes are at 400 for a new account. I've been very
420
greedy rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So how I like to play and what my goal is to, what hopefully this session will bring for me is understanding what I need to save, what I need to do in order to maximize my efficiency. That's pretty much it. I don't want to waste cubes to, just to see an extra 20k damage increased.
Sure. No, I'm the same way. So I think I think we'll match on that front. I'm also very much looking forward, but specifically, I want to look forward to what is your forward. So, are you aiming? What do you think is realistic that you can be aiming for? So, like soloing CRA is probably close if you get your boost nodes up and everything. Are you trying to Lotus Damien?
I know,
trying to Lucid?
We're not talking about time, right? We're just talking about what what I want to achieve in the end would probably be being able to party
Lucid.
If you scroll a bit more down, there's a boss page.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the carries that I got were from a friend that he quit ages ago, but I told him that I'm playing again, and he just comes on and carries me and then logs off. But I mean, I can't get carried all the time, and I do want to contribute. So this is honestly the furthest I've ever progressed. The best I could ever do was Horntail back in the day. Yeah. So a lot of these bosses I've honestly never seen before, but I hear a lot about Lucid, so probably Lucid. Yeah.
So party Lucid, which means close to or able to solo Lotus and Damien, basically.
Oh well, okay, that's pretty far then.
Yeah, so in general, it's like once you're able to solo 3-door and close to Vellum, that's when you start looking at Lotus and Damien parties, and then when you're close to soloing those, then is when you start looking at Lucid parties. Kind of is the a general progression. Yeah. Of course, there can be. After that, it becomes a bit difficult because you can't just say solo Lucid, then you go to a hard Lucid or something, because Lucid is much more.
I'm definitely lying to myself about that.
But because the mechanics of the boss get really weird then, right? Because Lucid has the golems and the dragons on the side and everything. It becomes way more just like a kit check to see either have insane damage, where you're basically black mage ready, or to have a kit that is specifically catered to just countering the boss mechanics. And at that point, it's just kind of it's kind of silly to be this should be a requirement or something, because it just wouldn't make much sense.
Well, speaking of being ready for these bosses, is my class Night Lord viable to participate and to do all this? So
for a team fight like Lucid, you would want a healthy balance between burst, support, and off burst damage potential. And every
so I do have my place.
Yeah, for sure. Every party will definitely want to have one Night Lord in it to make sure that once it's bound, you have your domain charged up from Kana, and everyone is popping all their buffs, that you have one guy doing insane burst damage, and then maybe he's not doing as much damage off the burst, but you're contributing to that at least during the burst you take a huge chunk off. That's important for Lucid, because when you take off a HP bar, you get a cleanse stack, and with the cleanse stack you can cleanse the map to make sure that all the butterflies that gather over time don't grow to a critical mass and kill everyone. So if you can keep the amount of butterflies down, then the whole party stays alive more and more. But you will also need to compensate that with other people in the party who have more lines of damage, for example, that they can clear the golems faster, and at least with one support that can make it so that you can with a long bind, so that you can have more time to confirm all of your damage. Phase 2 is a little bit trickier because she can fly around also while she's bound, and then the Night Lord gets a little bit trickier to confirm all your damage because you basically have to stick to your target when you're using spread throw. You'll have to get used to like moving around and like chasing very closely if she does fly around. And if you have an unlucky bind, that can make you in phase 2 almost a little bit into a dead weight because you're just all of that value that you're there for, you can't commit.
It's non-existent.
Yeah, but
in the second phase.
Yeah, but it's more important to get through the first phase very quickly because the golems taking limited damage, and the dragons on the side. That's in the beginning. That's going to be the hardest part for lucid parties. And if you can make it so that that burst is crazy and that the whole party can get through that phase faster, then everyone else can carry you back in the second phase. But the Night Lord definitely has a place in that boss fight for sure.
So theoretically, if I were to switch between Dual Blade and Night Lord, how often? Like I don't know the mechanic behind it. Is it something I buy from a shop? It's like a coin, right? How often are people able to switch between Night Lord and Dual Blade?
So you can switch once per day if you want to. And the higher level you are, and the more times you've already switched, the more expensive it gets. So you don't want to just willy-nilly switch all the time.
Right. So it's from mesos.
So yeah, the general, you just go to the 4th job NPC and you just say like, I want to open job advance, and then it'll tell you how much it costs and if you want to do it. And then if there's a coin in the shop, then basically you have a free pass. You can just do it. You go to the NPC and then you don't have to pay. It just consumes the coin.
Yeah, I saw that coin in the rice shop and it was 10 stamps.
Yeah, but it's only had like a 10-day duration, so that's a downside.
Yeah. So it just made me think. Wow, I'm gonna be switching, once every half year, something like that.
Yeah. No, but, it's very possible that it costs like several bill after a while. Yeah, per switch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it can be it can get pretty expensive. If you're like 260 and you're like training as a Night Lord, and then your team needs you as a Dual Blade to be able to survive and to confirm killing the bosses, then that might be like an extra bill or plus to like switch.
Good lord. Yeah.
But at that point, hopefully your party gets stronger and stronger with you, and it doesn't really matter if you're on the Night Lord or the Dual Blade. It's more for like endgame stuff, right? If you're doing like Varys Hilla, you're doing Gloom and Darknell, you're maybe prepping for Black Mage, that kind of stuff. But at that point, you're 275, and then you're just you're done leveling, and then you probably just always want to switch into Dual Blade because the amount of burst Night Lord gives isn't necessary anymore, but it's way more important to have the reliability for the survivability. That's just more important.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
But some people, just really like Night Lord and they just stay Night Lord, and then they make that work. But you just gotta be really strong to make that work.
Yeah,
make sure that you
funded. Yeah, just like the old days.
Yeah, exactly. Just make sure you pop off like crazy during the burst, and then everyone will be like, okay, fine, you just did like a few trill damage in 2 seconds, so I guess you can stay Night Lord. Yeah. So party Lotus, but first of all, working towards solo CRA and party Lotus and Damien.
Yeah.
And then with that in mind. But it's good to know like the general thing you're trying to aim for, because I do think like that as well. Like, okay, this cube here, where is it worth more? I'll always look at which item can make your damage go up more, but also which item stays with you the longest. Those are always the two things that I keep in mind. That's
part of why I went Phantom for Terrorburn. I just went on. It took me 5 days to make that decision. Do I Terrorburn a main or do I Terrorburn something that's hard to level with a very important link skill? And then everyone was just saying, like, everyone has their own opinions, but from what I could see, Phantom was hard to level, and 20% crit is needed for every single class.
Pretty much in the beginning, yeah. Eventually, maybe not anymore, but initially it's needed for every single class, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was either that or or Evan, because apparently that's really good for leveling.
Yeah, the link skill is very useful there, yeah, and also typically more on the tricky side for leveling as well.
Yeah,
most people don't like it.
But yeah, that's just basically how that's how I approach things, basically. Yeah. Just always with BIS, and I've never been to endgame in MapleStory, but that's just how I wish.
Well, the only way to get there is by preparing properly, right?
Yes, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, otherwise it's gonna take forever. Yeah, no, so yeah, if somebody tells you like, oh, you need to do a Phantom, the follow-up question should always be like, well, you know, in which situation should I do that, and in which situation should I not do that, right? Because if you have like no Legion whatsoever, you don't even have a main yet, but you know one character that you really, really want to main, and it's like your first Terrorburn, it's probably really good value to just Terrorburn that main so you can just jumpstart your progression.
Yeah, I definitely regret not making my main the Terrorburn from the Phantom. You know, it was such a pain to play as well. I don't really like Phantom. It's a thief, but it's disgusting to play in my opinion.
It's very different.
Stealing other like
yeah,
to use other jobs. Like I have no issue with.
Wait,
that,
you're a thief and you're against stealing? What is this? Identity crisis here.
Yeah, but you know, the fact that you need to use other classes spells to be useful is just.
Yeah, I used the Phantom specific skills all the way up to 210 without even 5th job. But I did use other classes buffs, you know, like Cross Surge, Final Cut, Holy Symbol, Sharp Eyes, those kind of things.
Yeah, I used all of those.
Yeah.
I used every single XP boost available to me as well, just to get past that 204 to 207, and then I used 3 Rise Shop potions to get to 210.
Nice.
I wasted 3. I wasted the 221 and the 231 to get there.
Well, you did it. Did you collect your node stones?
Yeah, so I asked my guild, I just joined I just joined a random guild, and they suggested I use my coins before the phase 1 runs out, and they told me to buy the node stones and the green node stones, so I bought some of those. Yeah.
And the ones that you got for leveling to 210 because it's Terrorburn? Did you pick those up?
Wait, yeah, they were... Shit, all those node stones went onto my Phantom, I think.
Yeah, because that's a Terrorburn character. But if you like reach 205 and 210, you can pick those up in a star tab. I don't know if you did that already.
Oh yeah, the Phantom boxes and stuff I already picked up.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm never playing the Phantom again.
Yeah, well, so since you're never playing again, what you can do is you can use those nodes to level up an existing node, and then turn that node into shards. And then with those shards, make tradable node stones and give those to your Night Lord.
Holy shit, okay.
So that way you can salvage some of the rewards that you got on the Phantom. If you're definitely not going to play it anymore ever anyway. You
99%,
can give, you can give like a little boost to your Night Lord. Yeah. Small salvage operation.
Yeah, that's definitely something I should consider.
Especially if you bought those experience node stones, that can actually be like a decent amount of shards for high level nodes.
Yeah, so this sort of stuff is exactly what I wish to you know, hear about. It's because it's all these little mechanics that a new player would have no idea about.
No.
Yeah.
And all of them combined.
They told me to make sure to buy the green ones.
Yeah.
I honestly I was very hesitant. They were what, 300 or 500 per
500.
green
Yeah,
nodes, though?
they're expensive.
I thought I was getting tricked. You know, just to buy something completely useless. I'm like, what the hell is this node stone? Why do I have to? I farm 300 coins a day. You're telling me to buy something that's worth 2 days worth of coins for this green stone, you know?
Yeah, it gives you the experience of 3 nodes, but it's like you can use it on all of them. So it's regardless of what kind of node it is, it always gives you the experience of 3 nodes. So the way you get a seat, like let's say you get 1 regular node stone, has a very high chance of being a boost node, right? Lower chance of being a skill node, very low chance of being a special node. If it's a special node, you get 50 shards from it. If it's a skill node, you get, 40? In the beginning, there's a decent chance that one of the skill nodes you need, but even then, it's just like 1 level up, right? So then it's only a third of the value. And if it's a boost node, there's a very good chance it's a boost node with a top skill that you don't need, and then it turns into 10 shards.
Yeah,
and then you need
if you
7 of
scroll
those.
down to the very last few images of the album, I posted what I currently have for my nodes on the Night Lord. So those green node stones, I have 3 of them. I have 3 of them. At the
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and the boost nodes I only have like what, 10, and then a bunch of skill nodes. Yeah.
Boost nodes, and then where's this part? All nodes. Okay, so the matrix in general is something we'll we'll
Yeah,
cycle
I
back
don't
to.
know what to do. I even have those what matrix points, like slot enhancement or some stuff like that. I haven't even used them.
Yeah. Okay. So should we just go
But I
by?
mean, you're obviously you know more than me. You decide what I should prioritize, or what you should prioritize telling me in this session. You know, if boosts is something that I can research on my own, so be it. You know.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have more experience, and I'm hoping to get
Yeah.
in this session, get as much as I can.
Yeah, so I'll give you like what I'll try to do is give you like basic understanding of all of these systems, so they all make sense to you, and then you can use that understanding to so that we can together like come up with do extra research if you want to we'll go more in depth, but also that like together we can come up with like what is like the sensible priority or prioritization of everything. So that you're like part of that process as well, and not just me telling you like do this first, then do that, because then 2 months later you have the same questions again, like what do I do now, right? And then it doesn't really help you in the long run.
Why am I doing this?
Why are you doing it? Yeah. So that's hopefully by the end of this progression you'll be like, okay, I know why I'm doing this, and I know to what extent I'm going to be doing it because I understand what the purpose is.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to do you have any preference, like which system I guess in the game you're like most confused about? What one do you want to get more of a grasp on first? Like the Matrix or the Legion or?
I wrote down some questions that I had just in case.
Yeah, you can go for it.
Inability.
Yeah.
How I know how it works, and I know how it works, but how important is it for me to focus some mesos onto getting a good inability at my current stage in the game, or should I wait maybe 2-3 weeks?
So
if you look at my stat page, you can see how many honor points I have.
Yeah, I'm on that page now. Yeah. So inability is, in its essence, it can be a very powerful tool. It is mainly very important for people who need the extra rank of attack speed on Legendary to make sure that they maximize their attack speed, makes you attack faster, kill faster, makes you your animations of your skills faster so that in boss fights you can move out of the way, it slightly increase your survivability. For those people, it's very, very important to hit that +1 attack speed.
My guilty said that Night Lords do not need that
exactly,
attack speed.
And you don't need that. So what you can use it for is to facilitate your progression. So you can go to Legendary and, for example, get either a line of drop rate to increase how many nodes you get, or a line of meso obtain to make it so that you make more money when you're training all the time. That could be a very valuable thing for you to do.
How would I approach upgrading my innate ability? Do I use honor points to do it, or do I use circulators?
So
yeah.
So the thing is, typically if you check !IA or inability in the chat, I have like a general way of approaching it. So typically, what I think is best to do is to just roll with honor until you get to unique, like you have now, and then from unique to legendary, use circulators. Because at that point, you don't want to roll honor and go back to epic or go even back to rare. It's annoying. There's a small chance, of course, that you get to legendary, but I don't think it weighs up. The chance of going up from unique to legendary with circulators is very high, and there's 0 chance of going down.
I understand.
Ideally during a circulator sale, but we haven't had those in a long time, so that's like kind of a non-issue. Yeah, don't hold your breath for that. No. And honor experience is a pretty rare resource, and if you want to go for your best in slot endgame inner you're going to need all the honor experience you can get. So that's why I'm usually
that's what I read.
Yeah, online, roll to unique and then hold honor experience as much as possible. So in general, it'll be like, so roll to unique, circulator to legendary, then if you need attack speed, keep rolling with circulators until you get your +1 attack speed, and then just hold that. If you're just planning on leveling a bunch, either a line of meso obtain, like 20% meso obtain or 20% drop rate, both would be pretty fine. I wouldn't like min-max hardcore there. And then just hold on to that top line and just save your honor experience and just ride it out and just keep making honor experience. Make sure you kill a decent amount of bosses. Always loot the honor medals that are dropping in the map.
Yeah.
And do one weekly run of dojo.
So I'll definitely lock legendary and the first rank once I start using honor.
So if you decide to go from legendary and like a rank of meso or drop in your case, and you try to go for like your endgame inner then you want to look at what is your final inner that you're going to be looking for. So basically, what we're walking through right now is this. It looks a little silly, but so you're going for the you're looking for the min-max approach. So you'll be
lock your top line.
You'll be here basically, right? So between 2 and 3B, there's like the situation that we're talking about right now, like a temporary state. And if you want to go for the end, then you use circulators until you get a perfect unique line on second or third. So to know what that one is, we got to check this one here, the best in slot guide, and then we look for your Night Lord.
Okay.
So you would want to aim for any of these. So either 8% damage to debuffed monsters. So these are this is the prime line, and then these are the unique lines. So standard, if you roll, you get a legendary line on the prime line, and then the other two are typically epic lines, but there's a chance that they're unique. So what we're aiming for is unique there, and we're rolling with circulators, because if you hit a line with the circulator, it's always the highest number it can be within that tier.
Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah. So like if you roll this with honor, it could be, I think it could be as low as 15 attack, but if you roll it with a circulator, it's always 21. So that's why we use circulators to first lock in a good unique line on the second or third line, because both of them could be unique. It's a higher chance for it to be the second one, but there's also a chance for it to be the third. And then once you have that, you lock your legendary tier and that unique line that you have. You wait for 50% off invulnerability reroll Sunny Sunday, and then you roll for your top line, which will be your 20% boss. So if you hit any of these 3 lines on either your second or your third line with a circulator when it's already legendary, then you keep that line, and then you hold that until 50% off invulnerability. Or what you could do, of course, is keep your current, wait until you know there's a 50% off invulnerability. On that day, throw your circulators, and then also on the same day, roll for that top line, so that you make the double upgrade.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll depend on whether or not but this is a pretty late thing, right? You'll just probably be rolling into the 20 meso, 20 drop, one of those two.
This is later, right?
Until probably level 230 or something is probably when you're going to be thinking of like, okay, now the series bosses come, maybe like 225, 230. This is like now that Lucid party is coming. Now there's more pressure on me to actually like do a big part of the damage. Yeah. And maybe the leveling slows down, and the value of that drop rate Mesoptane line goes down, and then the value of being more, big PP damage during the boss fight, actually that gets way more value, and then you kind of switch over to your approach for the invulnerability, basically.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so now if you have the same question but for another class, you can just follow the same trajectory.
Yeah,
the only thing you have to know if you need the invulnerability attack speed or
knowing
not.
Knowing the foundation, it means just I can translate it to any of the other classes.
Exactly. It's honor experience. You can get very lucky and just hit your invulnerability that you want very quickly, and it costs you It can cost you millions of honor experience as well. It's just very hit or miss.
Yeah. So definitely something for the late game.
Yeah. Prepare. Hope for the best and plan for the worst. Type deal. Yeah. Okay, that's one of the things on the list. The other things that I have on the list is Flames Core, Transfer Hammer, Transposing, IED, and V Matrix. Which one of those do you want to do next? The Matrix?
Yeah, sure. We talked about Matrix. May as well go a little. Before we get started on that, it might be better I tell you just briefly how much exactly I myself know. So, I'm the sort of person who does research before, actually finalizing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna, I don't know if you can see that on Discord. I have 3 references which I pretty much use.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever seen these. It's like a
one is like a giant PowerPoint, I think, right?
Yeah, well, one's a giant PowerPoint with,
like 15 million slides, yeah.
Yeah, so I've just been using these as my references and information that, if I don't know something, I just go check. So what you said about the inability stuff is basically, you confirmed what the guide, briefed over. So that's good, yeah.
Yeah, I have like a bunch of these guys as well. I usually have them all as commands in my channel. and I keep those up to date. I don't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got some of them from your channel.
Yeah, it's possible. So yeah.
So
This one is.
well, have you seen these, and can you just quickly take a look and tell me if one of them is bad? Because I don't want to follow something that's actually wrong the whole way.
I mean, this one is like, what is this, like, fucking 18 pages? Oh god, nope, never mind, keeps going.
That one's not that important. I think the main one would be the BIS list, probably. One of the spreadsheet one that I linked you.
Yeah.
I'm just worried it's old, and I'm following the wrong path.
Oh sure. Is this the one with like? Is this the like 600 slide PowerPoint? Yeah.
Oh no. The slide PowerPoint is the one below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changes coming soon.
So if you scroll to the right, it'll show you as progression goes forward.
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I guess.
So yeah, when I cube I haven't really cubed much, but
Well, you're looking at the E column basically for you now, right? And then forward. We can like skip the beginner one, or?
I think, yeah. Pretty much, I'm at the CIA side. I think now.
You have temporary
almost
CRA, right?
No,
no,
you have permanent. Night Lord. Yeah,
oh,
but I do have some. I guess now. I mean, is going through the nodes more important? I mean, the matrix more important, or you know what? Let's just go back to what we were doing before. Let's stick to the nodes and transposing explanations first.
Yeah, this will. I'm gonna assume that this is like pretty up to date. Weapon.
Yeah, I don't need to go into depth. I just want to.
Like close.
I just want your opinion on if it's correct or not. I don't want to be following something that's completely wrong.
It doesn't look super off. I mean, I have my own resources, right? Which I think is more. I usually don't go this exact because I feel like this takes away a little bit too much liberty of the players. It kind of railroads people a little bit too much into like, oh, I'll just do this, and then what I talked about before.
That's pretty much what I've been doing.
Yeah, but it's like what I talked about before. I like to give more like general, basic understanding of a thing, so that people can then figure out what they want to do, rather than because if you just follow a guide, well, let's say something changes, you have to wait for the guide to be updated. Otherwise, you don't know what to do next, and you're always just waiting for someone else to tell you what to do. Yeah. So
let's just put this.
Yeah, I'd like to do the different approach. Yeah. This general stuff, though, if you follow like my dailies command, it kind of all comes down to that as well, just not as straightforward. Like my dailies command has like, okay, at which levels do I think which content is good to do for your level? Like at which time is it is it worth doing, and at which point is it worth your time? Kind of.
Oh, wow.
Kind of thing.
Okay, I haven't seen this before.
And then on the left side, it's like, well, why would you do those things in the first place? Like, how much is the crystal worth? How much experience does it give? Does it drop flames? Are there soul shards involved? Equips? Is the bossing, being able to kill the boss, is it relevant for anything or not?
This would answer one of those questions I had for, are you garden dailies still? I've been doing them religiously because, my friends that played before, they said, potential is hard to come by. So I've just been doing you garden dailies every day. There's definitely
a time in the beginning where you garden dailies and getting access to those epic potential scrolls is very valuable. But there's also definitely a point in the game where they aren't worth the time anymore.
Not important.
Yeah, where it's just better to just make more money, just throw some Master Craftsman cubes at something, and like within 10 Master Craftsman cubes you'll always get epic as well. But you can do that way faster than, if you get those diabolic Jiangxi dudes or something and you got to go in a map where 600 other people are trying to kill the same dudes.
I know
and that's like 20 of your coins, and then,
Yeah, I'll definitely save this. It'll answer a lot of my other questions.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you haven't looked at all the commands yet, I have a lot of those, and
I noticed you,
Yeah.
you have a lot of resources.
And well, so I could make YouTube videos, but I feel like YouTube videos a lot of time goes into making the video and not into
Yes, of
gathering
course.
the information. And in the time that I make one
definitely like
video,
UI more.
yeah, I can gather information for like 4 other commands in the same time, so it doesn't feel efficient, and I can update it way faster as a command rather than as a video. Going back into a video and posting like a retraction or making another video just because one thing changed, whereas a command I could just go back, edit, boom, it's up to date, right? Just makes more sense for me. The long-term plan is to like throw it all on a website so it becomes its own thing, but you know, that's a long-term plan. Maybe we'll do that at some point. Yeah, so you want to get into the Matrix?
Yeah, sure. Let's do the Matrix first.
You were saying that there were some things you already knew that you wanted to share first? Or
It was just I know as much as those links I just sent you. That's
okay.
much it. Yeah.
So one thing for the Matrix is if you click that like question mark on the bottom right, that NPC actually explains quite a lot of stuff already. I don't know if you've done that.
No, I'll open it now.
I think there's like 4 questions or something that are like, you know, pre-programmed NPC questions. So the one thing you mentioned, like the Matrix points. So there's 2 ways of okay. So in the previous skill jobs 1, 2, 3, 4, you get your skills, you level them up, you put them on a key, and you use them, and that's pretty much it, right? Very straightforward. You have no customization. Every class at the same every character within the same class is basically just a carbon copy of each other. The only difference is like, you know, how do you move around the map? How good is your hardware and your internet? Whatever. When you get to 5th job, you actually get to compile which skills you want to have access to at any given point by just throwing them into the Matrix.
Yeah, I got that. Like I see, you know, characters with 50 decent abilities, decent hyperbody, decent like they're stacked out. I get that part, but I'm just not sure, you know, when how do I split my points? Do I stack one node? Do I stack one node and make one level 5, or do I make every one level 2? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So the main ways of increasing... So there's 2 main things that 5th job does, right? It gives you access to new skills, and it empowers your existing skills.
Yeah.
So empowering the existing skills, that's the boost node part, and then the new skills is the skill node part. So you have a limited amount of stats. So in the beginning, there's a lot of hard decisions that you have to make on which skills do I actively use and which ones do I not use. But the benefit of the Matrix is also that when you're bossing on one end or mobbing on the other end, you can just completely reconfigure which ones you use, and you don't have to like reset your skill points or, you know, move a bunch of stuff around. All you do is just drag and drop the other one and boom, put them on a key and you're done, right? So that's a huge benefit. One thing I will say from everything I've heard is that Venom Burst is absolutely garbage and you don't use that. Apparently it does like absolutely nothing compared to any other skill you can have access to. So that's an easy one. Urda Shower is typically a mobbing skill that you throw, like an extra AoE you throw on top of everything. Once you have more room for more skills. In the beginning, the thing that will help you kill faster when you're mobbing, kill faster when you're bossing, is the boost nodes. Those are like your most important thing that you focus on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So boost nodes would actually increase the DPS more than another skill.
Yes, that kind of cycles into the fact that your damage range becomes less and less important. You've probably already noticed, right? Because how much damage you do isn't really represented by your range anymore, because you have Arcane Power, you'll have boost nodes coming in, and these all give you final damage on hit on the skill, but that's not in your damage range at all. So you're going to be working with a lot of invisible damage increase now. So
it's like a noob trap.
Kind of, yeah. Having a big skill that allows you to kill like a lot of monsters is really cool. But if your regular skills you're like 5-6 shotting the monsters, that can be sped up a lot. And then because those skills you have access to 100% of the time, whereas those big skills, those big impressive skills, those all have cooldowns of like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then you're just sitting there waiting for them. So you want to have a healthy balance. So typically in the beginning, what most people will do in the beginning is get 2 boost nodes and then 1 or 2 important skills, and then usually at least 1 decent skill. So for most people, that's decent speed infusion to get their attack speed up. For some people, they'll need to rely on decent sharp eyes, for example, because their critical rate is very bad. And some people will get decent Holy Symbol because it gives you more experience and more drop rate, and that translates to a little bit more nodes as well while you're training. So the boost nodes, so all the nodes can go up to level 25 by throwing them together onto a big pile, right?
Yeah.
And boost nodes themselves can be boosted for up to 50 levels. So every single skill, every single fourth job skill that you want to have boosted will eventually be in 2 separate boost nodes and will be boosted up to 50 levels. And then the slots that the nodes are in themselves with those matrix points can be boosted up to level 5 each, making the boost node 25 in level 5, so up to level 30 in 2 boost nodes, up to 60 levels of boosting per skill.
Okay.
And then every level giving you 2% final damage with a total max of 120% final damage on your skills.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, so that's a big, right? Instead of doing 100%, you're doing 220.
Like what level are we talking about? Like what character level are we talking about to reach that stage? That's like what 250 or so even sooner?
That's sooner, but it definitely depends on your pile of nodes you already have. If you have like a farmer, if you're participating in all the events where you can get extra ones, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And your drop rate, right? Let's say somebody goes for drop rate gear first. Then they can make nodes way faster maybe, but you know, somebody who doesn't do that maybe is stronger and can kill faster, so there's a trade-off there. Got it. That's why some people go for the farming character. Not only do they make money, they also make a lot of nodes in the same time, and they can also fund their character visibly with money and then kind of invisibly with nodes.
Yeah, sounds like I should have gone farming first before making my main.
So it totally depends. You can, like a Night Lord as a character to train, it is very strong like that as well. It's definitely viable to play in that way. But it's even, so if you're just relying on the totems and you can only train, farm, whatever, for only about 30 hours a month, then you can just always have the totem on. If you want to play longer, then the Kana on the second account comes in as a alternative to having a dedicated farming character on your main, because the downside is your rates will be slightly lower, but the upside is every time you're farming or training, whatever you want to call it, you'll be also getting you're getting experience as well, and you're also progressing experience wise. I think that always
so that's a benefit of so that's a benefit of having the second computer.
Exactly. And you don't have to rely.
It's like a workaround having the Kana on your own account.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
It makes it so that you don't have to do the full investment of getting a character all the way up to Arcana, all the way decked out in both nodes and in gear, and that all of those resources can just be dedicated to your main directly and not through your Kana.
Oh my god, I didn't think about that. So, so this method, if you had to rate the efficiency of Kana on the actual account versus Kana on the second computer, how much better or worse is one or the other?
So it is kind of up in the air now. I would say before it's I just think it's always better because whatever main you're playing,
what's always better?
Having just like the Kana on the second computer, because I feel most people pick their main because they enjoy playing their main. And if
of course.
And if you're enjoying training, like you're playing like a side character for the purpose of just funding your main, whereas you can have fun all the time and be progressing in levels, might make a little less money, but all of the hours are going into the character, so as long as you make more than half, you're ending up with the same amount of money, basically, and with all of the experience on your character. The downside now, though, is that Kishin doesn't have 100% uptime anymore, so you might have to pull some shenanigans to be able to get the equivalent after your 30 hours of totem are gone to still be able to get those kind of confirmed rates, whereas the Kana can always have the Kishin on if you're farming on it directly on your main PC. So that has become a little different. What some people started doing is, for example, stripping their Kana of all equips except for the weapon and the arcane symbols, so they don't die to the monsters and everything, and put like a keyboard on the ground and put their foot on the spacebar so they keep attacking, and then with all the lines of damage you trigger the Night Ghost guide, and then with that you keep the Kishin duration longer, something like that. There's like weird workarounds like that, but if you can make that work, then it's like 100. I would always say it's 100% better to just be training on your main and to do it that way. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you can make like $1 billion an hour on your Kana. Well, first of all, you can only do that if you're in like one of the best 2 maps in the game that everybody wants to do it at. So that's already a big problem. Second of all, it's only in the best case scenarios, right? With all of your buffs up, there's always a limitation to how many hours you can do that. And the third thing is the amount. People tend to neglect the amount of money that goes into your character in the first place to even get to that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you kind of bypass most of that and just go directly into your main, yeah. If somebody's like, okay, I'm aiming for Black Mage right now. I have 1 computer. Yeah. Well, 100% go for the farming Kana on your main computer, right? Like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But considering your goals are more humble, slightly more humble than Black Mage within a month or two, and you have the possibility for the access to the second computer, I would say definitely, and we have the Terra Burn, I would definitely consider it. is what I would say. Yeah. I don't want to like tell you what to do, but it would be really good.
I definitely see the reasoning behind it.
Yeah. But yeah, so for skill nodes, I don't know if you looked at the vMatrix command, or if you know. If I told you right now which boost nodes would you, which skills do you want in your boost nodes? Do you know which ones you want in there?
I used a Yumi Love or something.
Can be outdated, so be careful with.
Yeah, I know. Very outdated. But I mean, just generally from what I personally use when I'm training, I would assume Showdown, which is the main bobbing skill, and wait, no, sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is Showdown. It is Showdown.
Yeah, I always forget the name of that skill. Yeah.
That's the giant flag thing. And Assassin's Mark, which is apparently in normal servers, people use that to one-shot other mobs. I just don't believe it. You know?
Yeah, late game, end game, in Reboot as well. Yeah, that's why they're.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why their end game mobbing potential is so good for Night Lord, because once those little ads start one-shotting. You just fly through the map and everything just kind of, you can rely on everything behind you just dying, and you can just...
Wow, I actually have hope now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it takes me, 5 shots?
Yeah, with your main skill, and then the Assassin's Mark are just like tickling, yeah, but eventually you just get so strong that even in drop rate gear, you'll be like one-shotting with marks and crazy stuff like that, yeah. Or two-shotting, which is also pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, with the boost nodes, I generally have an idea.
Yeah. So if you look at this one, I have it on stream now. So this Reddit post kind of like tries to... Oh, where did we go? So it's a Quattro Assassin's Mark Showdown as like your first trio, and then Dark Flare, Death Star, Sudden Raid, which is like something you get later. So if we're going to say focus on 2 boost nodes, you want 2 boost nodes that have these 3 skills in different orders.
Yeah, which I do not have.
No, that's fine. That's fine that you don't have it yet, but it's good to know that you're looking out for it. And then in the back of your mind, also be looking out for these.
Okay, got it.
So that you can, like, if you have them, you just save them. Maybe, you know, you don't level up nodes for them. But so
wait, don't level up nodes for them.
Don't level.
Are you talking about the ones that okay? So for Night Lord, it says Quattro Assassin's Mark Showdown. Now, if I did have one of these, you said don't.
No. So no. I was talking about the trio 2 there for a second. Okay, so what you're aiming for is, you know about boost nodes and how you level them and everything.
Yeah, you said. Wait. Is it you dismantle one and you get some points, and then you get enough points and you make another one?
So that's one way. That's one way. So so there's a bunch of ways to do it. So in the beginning, what you'll do is you just open the nodes that you get, and then if you get boost nodes, you see, okay, is this a useful one or is this a shitty one? So how do you know the difference from if it's a useful one or a shitty one? You look at what is the top skill in the node, in the boost node.
Oh.
So the top one decides which one it is. So if you look at this one, and the top one, ironically, the top one in the boost node is not on top, but it's on the left side here, obviously, because Nexon. So this is an Assassin's Mark boost node, for example. So this one will have, what is it, your 4th one? So if you find that one in the game, it should say like Assassin's Mark up top, and then what is it, like Shadow Web, and I don't even know what that is.
Assassin's Mark up top.
Yeah, it's your first skill, but it'll be shown on the left, but it'll be like the top skill in the description of the skill.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Can you find that one? That boost node?
Are you looking at my photos?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking at a showdown one.
Showdown on this one?
Oh, the one you're hovering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the one you're hovering is Assassin's Mark on the left, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and there's a shadow web on top, and there's a shuriken, which is like a third job skill, completely
Yeah.
useless.
If you click on that boost node.
It'll say Assassin's Mark on the top, but it's actually on the left. Okay.
Yeah, but that's like the first skill, quote unquote. So that's the one. Yeah, the main skill. So if you would want to level this one up, you'd have to right click and then enhance, and then all the other boost nodes that also have Assassin's Mark on top can be used to level up the one that you clicked that you want to enhance.
Oh, okay.
And the more of them you connect with them, the higher the level goes, and the higher the level goes, the higher the final damage boost goes on all of the skills that are on the starting boost node that you're leveling up. So only the top skill matters for your boost nodes that you're enhancing with. They can be completely different second and third skill, that doesn't matter. But only thing that matters is the 3 skills that are on your existing boost node that you're leveling up. So as you're opening boost nodes, you're going to try to look for what we call tri-nodes, which is nodes with the 3 skills that you want to be leveling up. So
with all 3 skills?
Yeah, all 3. Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to have like... So for this, you'll want to have 2 nodes that have any combination of these 3 skills. So either this exact one, or starting with Showdown, and then Quattro, and then Assassin's Mark, in any order. But what's important is that, remember, you have to have 2 boost nodes, right, with all of the skills on them, so that you can get to the max level eventually of 25 2 times in 2 level 5 slots.
Okay, got it.
But you can only equip 1 boost node with the same top skill at the same time. So if you get one, so if you got one that starts with Quattro, the other one has to start with either Assassin's Mark or with Showdown.
Got it.
So what this also shows you is that the more you lock in, like I'm committing to this node, the more you limit your options for which other nodes can fit your combination. Yeah. So for Night Lord, it's actually a good situation because you basically, that first trio is super important. And whichever one you find is really useful there. Other classes might have like 7 or 8 boost nodes that they need or something crazy. And then as you're like, okay, I'm going to take these 3 already and start leveling them up. And then it can take very long to find the last ones to fit your set. Whereas in the beginning, you keep it a little bit more open. And you're like, okay, I'm getting like level 2 or 3 boost nodes, but I'm not hard committing to anything. And then you're like, oh, now I have all of them. So the beauty is once you have all of your boost nodes, or your tri-nodes as we call them, right? Once you have all of those set, then what you can start doing is that all of the boost nodes you open that don't have a top skill in it that you can use to level up an existing tri-node that you have, you can immediately disassemble them and then start working on those node charts that we talked about.
Yeah.
So what the node charts can do is you can make just node stones, like the ones that drop from maps. So that's mainly useful if you're in the beginning stages, and if all of the nodes that you open up are basically going to be nodes that you can use. So let's say that you're playing one of the latest classes that does need to boost every single skill, right? And you're basically looking for like 6 boost nodes combinations. The chance that if you open one of those boost nodes, that the top skill is one of those 6, or is a skill node that you need, is super high. And then the value of your shards as one of those node stones becomes very high as But if you're only looking for 2 specific, like let's say you find one that starts with Assassin's Mark and one that starts with Showdown, there's a lot of chance, and you've already seen it, there's like a lot of skills in there that you don't want at all. And then if you're paying, I think it's 70 shards, for one of those boost nodes, and then the chance that you're getting 10 back because you're going to have to extract them is almost like 40%, then it's a bad trade at that point. So then you want to do the other thing where you make the nodes themselves. So not the node stones, but the nodes like you see.
Those cost like 150 I saw for a decent holy symbol.
I think it's one...
Like 100 something.
Yeah, they get pretty expensive. I think is it 70? Oh, I forgot the actual numbers, but I think it's
fine.
I think it's 70 for a node stone, and then like 140 for a special node, for a skill node, and then 250 for a special node, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they can get very expensive, but if you know you're guaranteed, and like I said, it doesn't matter what the second or third skill is, as long as the first skill is right, it doesn't matter, you make one of those boost nodes and you can start enhancing. And every level you gain is 2% final damage. So in the beginning, it's very, very good.
I should definitely, when I have time, start upgrading if possible.
Yeah, so first find your tri-nodes, right? And if you don't have tri-nodes, you just keep opening and opening. What you could also do... excuse me. What you could also do is, because once you have a lot of nodes, like let's say you have a lot of showdown nodes, but none of them are your tri-node, right? It's possible.
Yes.
What you could also do is make boost nodes for showdown, and see if you can make your tri-node, because you already have, your top line is already guaranteed, and then the other two, there's less RNG, right? Because every new node zone you open, it could be a skill node, it could be a boost node, it could be anything. But if you make a dedicated showdown node, there's also already some less variance that's gone. Of course, the risk there is, like, what if you still don't get your right boost node, and then you end up finding an Assassin's Mark and a quad star that are your tri nodes? Then you have to disassemble all of the showdowns, right? So there is a risk involved there. So that's more of a thing that I do when I already have like a bunch of nodes. If you're in the beginning stages, you want to be a little bit more careful. And that does mean that in the beginning, you won't be able to fully benefit from all of your boost nodes. What you mainly end up doing is getting like... so we'll get into that. If you have so for example, you have a showdown, something weird, and then Assassin's Mark node.
Showdown.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ninth one from the left, I think.
Can you count which one?
Yeah, ninth one. Or the third one from the right, I guess.
Third one from the right. Showdown, and then Shuriken and Assassin's Mark.
Yeah, so that one is 2 out of 3, but it doesn't have quad star, so that one wouldn't help you as much during bossing, but it would help you a lot during mobbing. So that's also something to think about, right? Because when you have a bunch of nodes, and we talked about like switching things out, mobbing and bossing, for Night Lord not as much, but for other classes, what you could do is try to round up the bossing skills together, the mobbing skills together, so you can switch those out and efficiently use the amount of spots you have, especially in the beginning. You have limited slots, so you want to get the most value out of them.
I see.
So so Assassin's Mark is nice, but like you said, it's nowhere near, even if you boost it now, it's going to be nowhere near one-shotting things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think if you're looking for 2 out of 3 nodes in the beginning, you want to focus on Showdown and Quad Star. Those two are the most important. So what you could do is level a few of those up already, and then afterwards, say you do find your tri-node and it has the same top skill as your Showdown or your Quad Star one, you can use your leveled up node as a node to level up your new tri-node that you find. And it will transfer 100% of the efficiency. Yes.
Okay.
The downside is if you end up with like a different one and you have to disassemble it, then you only get a few of the shards back, and then it's hurting you the more you're invested. But if you find the tri-node with the same top skill, 100% of the efficiency gets transferred over. So it's pretty low risk if you do that for Showdown and Quad Star, because those are the main skills you're going to be looking for anyway. So at most, one of those will have to be extracted, because even if you get the one with Assassin's Mark, the other one is going to have either Quad Star or Showdown. So at most, one of them will have to. So that's the way you can approach your matrix. And then to connect with that, your slot enhancement, where you asked, like, so do you spread the levels or do you just level one? What do you think, with knowing all the information I just told you? What does your intuition say about the levels?
I would definitely just level... I wouldn't make them all level 5. I'd, focus on 1 or 2, and namely the boost nodes. Is that correct?
That is exactly correct, yeah. You want to level one at a time, and you want to put your boost nodes in, because in the beginning, those levels are very, very valuable, right? You get a bunch of final damage from that immediately. So let's say you have your current situation, you change the Venom Burst, you change the Shower, you put 2 boost nodes instead that are like, let's say level 2 or level 3, you make the slots each level 2, that means they both go up to like around level 5, combined level 10, every level gives you 2% final damage. You just increase your final damage of Quad Star and Showdown by 20%.
Okay. So I have 20% just sitting there. Good lord.
Yeah, basically that's like the potential you're sitting on with 5th job available. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense. Yeah.
So and this is just like one of the cogs in the wheel, right?
Yeah.
And then this combined with all the other stuff and min-maxing everything just a little bit more is gonna just make your damage go. Like if you keep this up from like where you are now to like a month from now, you won't even recognize your character anymore.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right now it's just it's like a baby.
Oh yeah, so on the other screen you have spread throw and your bind. So that's a very potent combination, right, for when you're bossing. That's
yeah, I heard about the binds, but some I forgot it was my guilty or something. They said that this bind sucks.
It sucks, but it's the only one you have, so it's kind of irrelevant. But yeah,
so it doesn't matter if it sucks.
it's like a projectile. So there's a delay on it. It's a single target, and it has a huge cooldown. So that does mean if you find extra, if you find extra, you can level it up because it does decrease the cooldown. So it gives you more uptime on it. So that's another thing, but that's like a Google thing you can do for later. You can write that down for something to do later. Once your boost nodes are like very high levels and you start looking at like what skill nodes am I going to level, the best thing you can do, and this goes for every class, not just for you, is just to Google the name of your skill and then just put like wiki fandom, I think, Maple wiki, something like that. That one's generally the most up to date, and just look at how the stats increase as you level up the skill. Is it just the damage, or is it the uptime, the duration, that kind of stuff? If anything gets more uptime, more duration, or lower cooldown, that's always a priority over damage. Yeah, that's the main thing. So, and for you, one of your main things is insane burst damage. How do you do that? With spread throw. What do you need for spread throw? You need the boss to stand the fuck still, then for you to be able to hit it, because you need to stick to it like a sweaty t-shirt, and if it moves around, none of your damage is going through. So what do you need? You need your bind to be up. So you want to get your bind as close to the cooldown of your spread throw as possible, so that's always there. So that's one of the things that you might be focusing on way more than anyone else. Other people might already have a built-in bind, and they don't even ever use this node, for example. So that's how building your matrix can be very different for people, but in general, you're all moving in that direction. And as you get more slots,
it's like a game in itself. It's like a game in itself.
Yeah, it's like a min-maxing mini game to optimize your damage for the rest of the stuff. Yeah. So Shuriken in the beginning, I think for mobbing, I think in the beginning for both it's pretty good, right? And then the Dark Omen explosion dude.
These, I mean, I personally love them.
Yeah. All of the extra assassin's marks flying around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, I did a little bit of night lording, not too much though. Okay, I'm gonna sneeze. Dab. Okay. All right, but you feeling like we're getting closer? We're making progress?
Yeah, definitely. That explains a lot about, that pretty much explained Matrix to me.
Yeah. Oh, so with the special nodes, we didn't talk about those. Those are a very small part. If you get a special node, they only last 1 week, so you typically just want to extract them immediately, get those 50 shards. That's a lot of value.
Oh, okay. I should jump on my Phantom and...
Yeah, if you hover over them, you'll see like they only last a week. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I noticed that, but I didn't know that you could extract them and then...
Yeah, no, it's kind of... It feels a little counterintuitive, but yeah. So if you make one for 250, the only ones you would really make is there's like a few bossing ones that give you extra damage. There's one that full heals you every now and then. And then there's one that can give you extra experience if you get hit by monsters a lot. So like when you're hardcore training, just to min-max a little bit more experience.
Right. This is like later. Like
way later. This is like past lucid time, is it basically?
Okay.
Or if you have a lot of nodes and you want to min-max leveling a lower character, you might make the leveling node or something. But yeah, you make it for 250, and then you'd wait until right before it expires, and then you recycle 50 of your points basically to get a little bit of your value back. Yeah. But yeah, in general, you'll like 99% of them, you won't use them. Just immediately extract them so you don't forget, because it's like easy 50 shards, right?
Got it.
Yeah. So with you have experience boost nodes now, so I would wait until you get a perfect tri node that has both those 3 skills, and then just jump the experience nodes on there for now. Most people will save them either for skill nodes, or they'll mention the True Arachnid Reflection, which is like a skill node you get at 235 from Will, and that's all well and good, but you want damage now. Like, You'll get to that later. Like, it's no problem. You'll max that out later. It's no huge big deal.
Yeah, I read so when that guildie told me to buy the green lodestones, I did some research just in case, you know, I made the wrong choice. They said something about yeah, Will, the boss, I've never seen it myself, but it's some spider boss, and apparently you're meant to save these green ones specifically for his node.
Yeah, so his node can only be leveled up through other red node stones that are a drop from Hard Will. So that's a little bit away for you. Or with these green nodes, because the green nodes can level everything up. The thing is, though, this is like a burst skill that you're like min-maxing just for percentage damage. So it's very low in the list.
Priority.
Yeah, it being there and this being the only two ways that you can level it up makes it a high priority for these boost nodes specifically.
Yeah.
But since it's so far away from you, I don't think
you recommend I would just use these now.
Yeah, like sitting once you have a tri node. Yes, like sitting on that potential now for so long when you're kind of starved for nodes, honestly, would not be a good decision. Yeah, I get that decision. And if you already have like level 20 boost nodes and your skill nodes are already like level 10, and then you get them, yeah, then you would save them for that. That would make the most sense for that situation.
Like these sorts of informations, like for my personal min-maxing is great.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you're working on the Monster Parker medal, I see, so that's good. That's general equip progression. And you almost have your Fakso lab. Have you figured out where you want to use that?
No, I was hoping that you would tell me what the difference between. I was hoping you could recommend one.
Okay, so the main difference is that your potential is locked in. It comes at 17 stars, and then the only thing you can do to upgrade it is flaming it, basically.
Yeah, so I reckon like this sort of decision would need to, you know, take a look at my equips overall, right, before I make a decision.
I would say it depends on how quickly you're progressing and how much value it could have by taking it on another character.
Yeah, so I did read that, you know, some people put on their Kana.
Some people do that, yeah.
But yeah, so I have no clue right now. Apparently the other one is like a pendant or something from Arcane.
Yeah, Dominator Pendant. Yeah, Dominator Pendant is more in the meta now because of transposing into Sweetwater Pendant. I don't know if you've read anything about transposing and endgame best in slot stuff. But
I know there is something called transposing. Never done it myself, but I'm aware that it boosts an item.
Yeah, it boosts the beginner stats,
so
and it takes.
Me that I can transpose the event Dominator.
So you could, but the thing with transposing is it has the best value when you transpose at 16 stars, and it comes at 15, and you can't Star Force it anymore, which basically takes it out of the running for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rip.
Rip. Yeah. If you already have like a decent weapon, you don't really have another character that needs the weapon at all, and you're playing either a Kana or a Demon Avenger, which both scale off of HP, since the Dominator gives you percentage HP and gives you part of the boss accessory set. Those can be situations where you would actually get the Dominator Pendant still, because it also gives crit rate, and Demon Avenger and Kana also have low base crit rates. But this is like, yeah, those are pretty... like on my Kana account, for example, I don't have any... Yeah, I don't even have any other characters that are level 260 or something, so I could just take that pendant on my Kana, for example. It probably still won't. I'll probably still get the Dominator. It'll probably still get the weapon on another character, but...
Right now, I'm just using a Sweetwater weapon.
Stand Star.
Yeah.
So you've probably already noticed the flames on some items get way better than on other items, right?
Yeah, I've heard about that. Boss flames, stuff like that.
So Absolab, boss item, gets boss flames. Sweetwater, non-boss item, does not get boss flames. Huge difference.
Wait, so I should get the Abso weapon?
I think getting the Abso weapon on your main, considering how quickly you're progressing and considering how big of an upgrade it is compared to what you have now, is looking like it's probably going to be your best bet. Your other options...
I do have the option to get the CIA weapon next reset. If that changes, does that change this decision?
I would say the fake Abso, even though it's like locked in suboptimal potential, is still is
better
still
option
going to be
than
an
full
upgrade
set.
compared to Fafnir because it just comes as 17. It comes as unique, even though it has suboptimal lines. It comes with those lines, and the only thing you can do then is just invest into flaming. Whereas with Fafnir, you would have to start everything from the ground up.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So you could definitely get the Fafnir, hold on to it, and then use that as a resource to transfer hammer later into, once you get the real Abzo weapon, once you're deciding I'm going to go at least 2 17 stars, maybe past, or I'm going to start min-maxing my potential so I can roll for a bunch of attack, for example.
Okay.
And that will probably happen once you have the other pieces of Absolab already from Lotus and Damien, once your set bonus starts rolling, and then you've invested in those enough, and then to say I'm going to upgrade from one weapon to the other, basically.
Yeah. So, well, since we're on this topic, can we talk about, the equips that I want to, start looking at? So I took a photo of my inventory with the coins.
Yeah, I saw some coins, yeah.
So yeah, that friend that I was talking about, he logged on and ran me through the Lotus and Damien boss, and I managed to get some coins, and he told me to quickly go do the weeklies. So I did the weeklies like 5 hours before the weekly reset.
Nice. So now you can do them again.
Yeah. So yeah, I can do them again later. So yeah, as you can see from my photos at the top, my current equips, and then my the way I play, which is I want to make sure that I cube appropriately and not waste them on some 20k damage increase when I could save them for the future. So where do I go from here? What Absolab item do I buy first? CIA weapon versus Abso versus Arcane. I read about Arcane. Yeah, where do I go from here?
So Arcane is either a drop from Hard Lucid Hard Will, or you make it with
droplets, I heard.
With a lot of droplets. Used to be 20. Oh god, what is it? Is it 25 times 10, and now it's 25 times 9, so it's still 200. No, 24 times 10, and now it's 24 times 9. So still 24, so still 216 droplets. You're probably going to get like one every 2 hours training once you get to Lachaline or above. So
just forget about it for now.
That's a long-term thing. It's a pretty long-term thing.
So I would assume short-term I would just consider between CIA and Abso. But from what you were talking about before, I get the fake one. It means I don't have to worry about CIA and just focus on the real Abso.
Focus on the other pieces of Abso first, and then circle back to the real Abso. Yeah, that's probably going to be your main path. And then the Fafnir will will function as a source to
transfer.
Yeah, to transfer. Do you know about like transfer hammer and how all that works?
Yeah, I know probably most of the mechanics behind transfer. Yeah,
so the value, just to reiterate for you and maybe for people at home who are watching, the value is that Abso requires those kills of those hard bosses, all of those weeklies, and if you can avoid blowing it up for star forcing, for example, or having to safeguard it the whole way through, which is expensive the higher level the item is, and it's pretty high level. To avoid some of those costs, what you can do is get items that you have more backups of, which you will have a Fafnir later. It may sound a little bit weird because you're like saving up for your first weapon and it's 15 tickets. But by the time you get done with all the other Abso, and by the time you're thinking, okay, I'm going to move from this weapon to the other one, you will have been killing solo CRA for like months probably already. And at that point, you'll have so many items backed up that you can just do like no safeguard, just mass star forcing to try to get up to... So if you're just trying to go to 17, what you could do is use a 30% off event to go up to 15 stars, wait for a 5, 10, 15 event, then get it from 15 to 16 at 100% rate, then transfer it into the Abso, get the Abso from 15 to 16 again, because it costs 1 star to transfer, right? Get it from 15 to 16 again during the event, and then just safeguard from 16 to 17. That's the thing you could do. Or during a 30% off or a 5, 10, 15, you take the Fafnir and you just try to no safeguard, you just try to get it all the way up to 18. And then if that works, you just transfer hammer it into the Abso. If it blows up, you transfer the trace into a new one, and you just do it all over again. Those are like...
What blows up, the Fafnir or the Absol?
Well, you don't want the Abzo to blow up ever, right? So that's why you take a lower level item that you have
so
more of, like the
it's not the
Fafnir.
Absol that's blowing up, right? It's the Fafnir.
Exactly, yeah. And then the end result is either a 15 Fafnir that you know, with event shenanigans, get up to Abzo and then get the Abzo to 17, or you get the Fafnir to 18 and then you transfer it into a 17 Abzo. Those are like the two things that you can do there. But the main thing behind it is reducing boom chance on items that are harder to replace.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, just like getting... That's why people get level 150 equips from the bosses, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
you stockpile those. Yeah, exactly. You stockpile them. You wait for a nice event. You just go crazy on star forcing. There's like low cost, low risk, right? There's pretty much no risk. If you boom it up, it's whatever. You just wait for the next event. And then when you get a really good one, boom, transfer, upgrade. And then you have a huge upgrade. You don't have to deal with all the weeklies. You will be probably doing the bosses because you want to get the crystals, you want to get the soul shards, you want to get the experience and just get better at the bosses. But you don't want to have to deal with all the weeklies over and over again. One thing though I will mention, you can do the weeklies on multiple characters and those items are transferable. So you can trade them between characters.
I heard about that, yeah. I did it on my Phantom as well.
Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah, and you can decide, like, do you keep them on your character, do you keep them in storage? It'll depend on how much inventory space you have, because you have a little limited space. And if you already turn some of the some of the items into coins, then you have double the inventory space that's like being kept.
Yep. So, which Abso should I buy first, or is there like a list that I can follow?
So do you know? So there's two different shops with two different coins, right?
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, I had enough coins to buy. I have enough Damien coins to buy one, and I thought I could buy something. And someone on Reddit said, you know, you always go for gloves first because it gives crit.
Yeah, so there's two things.
I found out that they're two different shops. I thought they were the same shop.
Yeah. No, you see, you have two different coins, right? You have the Absolab coins and what is it, Stigma coins, I think. Yeah. So both of the shops also have different items, and those different items are also the items that can drop from the hard versions of the bosses. So only the items in the Lotus shop can drop from Hard Lotus, and only the items in the Damien shop can drop from Hard Damien.
Yep.
So the weapon is the only item that is in both the shops. And then apart from that, the items are only in one of the two. So the set bonus that you aim for is... so there's a few items that you could be aiming for, right? So the Damien shop has the hat, the overall, and the shoulder as 3 items. And the Lotus shop has the glove, the shoes, and the cape.
Okay.
So the hat, you typically don't go for because it breaks up your CRA set, your 3 set, that gives you 50 attack. And that does not weigh up against getting the 1 extra set bonus from Absolev of going from 5 to 6, because that one gives you less attack and only gives you percentage HP and MP. So the only characters that would go for that is typically the Demon Avengers, because they scale off of HP, and maybe a Kana, because they scaled off of HP to a certain extent. The other item, the overall, you also don't go for the same reason, because you break up the CRA set, but also because it's 1 item in place of 2, and because of how much benefit you get out of Star Forcing 2 items, potentialing 2 items, flaming 2 items, it just doesn't weigh up against that loss whatsoever. So that only leaves the weapon and the shoulder in the Damien shop as really your only options. And now the other shop has 3 of the items that you want. It has the gloves, which, you know, very few alternatives. And set bonus for a level 160 item for Absolab. It has the cape, which the only real alternative is like high Star Force Tyrants, but Tyrants is kind of a nightmare to get the high Star Force.
Yeah, it's 50 mil for 1 star.
Well, once you start high Star Forcing non-superior items, 50 mil is going to sound like a dream. If you're like Star Forcing Arcane past like 18 star, I think it's like 190 mil per attempt. So it does get, or you're like, even if you're safeguarding Abzo, I think from 16 to 17, I think a single attempt is like 130. It starts off high, but it kind of stays the same number with Tyrants. But the main problem with Tyrants is that you have boom chance starting past level 5 already, and that you start off with 50-50, but it kind of stays around the 50-50 mark, whereas the other stuff starts off at like 90, you know, like 95%, and then goes down gradually to 30%. In the end, getting a 12-star Tyrant costs you about the same amount of money as getting a 22-star non-superior item. That costs about the same. The problem is the Tyrant doesn't have set bonuses, and you'll blow up more items, and getting backups is way more tedious. And there's no way of transfer hammering into Superior, because Star Forcing works different between Superior and between others because of bonus stats, so you can't transfer hammer into it. That's the main reason why we've kind of abolished that system and went over to Abzo instead, because you can just get the 150 and transfer hammer it over and be done with a lot of the problems that they don't have. So to circle back to the shop where we were talking about, so the shoe is kind of in the same situation, right? Also, Tyrant is the only real other alternative, but no set bonus, all the same problems that the Tyrant capes have, right? So we want all three of those items. And then we also have the weapon in that shop. So if you look at the cost, the regular items cost 2 coins each, and the weapon costs 5. So you have the shoulder in the Damien shop, and you have the 3 other items, the shoe, the glove, the cape, in the Lotus shop. And then you have to get the weapon, and you can choose which one of those shops you would get. Well, where would you get the weapon?
Damien.
Exactly, right? Because they cost the same amount of coins. So then you need 7 coins in the Damien shop and 6 in the Lotus shop. The only other option is 2 in the Damien shop and 11 in the Lotus shop, which is completely imbalanced, right? So that's why the meta is there. You get the weapon and the shoulder from Damien, and you get the other 3. So you need 7 drops from Damien, 6 drops from Lotus, and the equivalent weekly drops, basically, to get the items there. Then we get to... Yeah?
You go.
Then you get to what you buy, and what you buy, like your information has already hinted at, is you get what gives you the best upgrade at that point, right? So most people will say gloves, because typically the glove before that is probably pretty crappy glove. They're all kind of like mid-range gloves. There's like 8 or 9 different gloves that all kind of do the same thing, but none of them do it really well. And Abzo is always like a huge upgrade. And then going for that crit damage does boost your damage a lot. Mind you, you got to make sure that your critical rate is set, right, at 100%, so that you can take max efficiency of that critical damage. But yeah, that's a really big upgrade. Then after that, at least from that shop, it's typically... it's either shoe or cape, depending on how good your Tyrant cape that you have is. If you don't have a Tyrant shoe yet, and that depends on how quickly you progress, because the cape drops straight from HMAG, so you typically always have a cape at that point. You might not have shoes yet, because the shoes cost 70 coins, which is, you get 9 coins per run, right? You have 18, so you've cleared HMAG twice now, I can see. So you need to clear HMAG at least 8 times, which is at least 2 full months. So there is a chance that people already get to, I can buy the shoe, but I don't even have Tyrants yet, so then the shoe would be the second big upgrade, and then the cape would be the last.
Okay.
On the other hand, you probably, for Damien, you usually go for the weapon first, because of way more base attack, a higher tier at level 160 for potential. You're going to keep it longer, so you're also going to commit harder to the potential. Higher flames, like all of that stuff. But since if you already have the Fake Soul app, you already have the set bonus there going for you as well, you already have it upgraded, then the shoulder first makes more sense. So you can work on a higher set bonus, and the shoulder is probably still going to be a huge upgrade, because you're probably using a Royal Black Metal shoulder, which, low tier.
I'm still using the Kana.
The Hayato shoulder. Yeah, that's one of the 2. Yeah, those are pretty much equivalent as well. No problem there. Yeah. So for you go for shoulder first, and then when you have all of those decked out nicely, then you circle back for the weapon. At that point, you'll have more backups for Fafnir. You can go a little bit harder on the Fafnir, and then transfer hammer directly into a nice weapon you want. What you can do is you can start, if you find flames from bosses, you can start pre-flaming the weapon, because if you transfer hammer, it doesn't ride over the flame. So any flame advantages, any flame gains you already make will be kept after transferring.
Wait, what? Is this specific to certain items or for every item? No,
transfer hammering. Transfer hammering does not copy the flame score with you.
Yeah, it doesn't, right? So you're saying that if I buy the Abso weapon, for example, I pre-flame it, like I flame it before I even have to use it, because it
you don't want to risk expiring the flame, because there's no need to, because even if you decide to transfer hammer into it, it'll still maintain that value.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And in the same way, so it is possible that you're keeping a Fafnir weapon, and then upgrading it during the event, because you don't have Abzo yet, and then you have the 15-star Fafnir, and then you're waiting for a 5, 10, 15 event to go for the transfer, right? But in that time, you're making flames, so you're already flaming your target item, your Abzo. Then the event comes around. Fafnir to 16, transfer, Abzo to 16, Safeguard to 17. Boom, you've got a Flamed and Star Force. Now all you got to do is potential.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
And that way, it's kind of weird because you're doing all of the the different types of upgrading like separate from each other, both in time and in space. But then in the end, it all comes together, and then
it makes sense.
Yeah, it's like a
yeah.
It's kind of weird to look at the game in this way, but it's a very optimal way of going about it.
This is exactly how I want to play it, right?
Yeah, no, okay, that's good.
I love the min-maxing.
Yeah, it's a nice puzzle that way. Yeah. So that takes care of like all of the progression where you're going for with the Abzo stuff, and then the main
CIA,
thing.
you said, am I using that for the whole game? Because according to the list that I sent you, CIA is like, it says here, even the very end game, you're using the CIA set.
So what some people do is they change the hat. If you change the weapon, the Abzo weapon into an Arcane weapon, then some people will change the hat so that you recuperate the 5-set bonus.
Yep.
Because then the 5-set bonus does weigh up against the 3-set bonus of CRA.
Okay.
And then later in the game,
Arcane,
if you go...
Arcane's like a few months down the road, so...
yeah, just a few. And then beyond that, you have the Genesis weapon. I don't know if you've seen those.
I've heard about Black Mage.
Yeah.
8 months just to achieve one item, some bullshit like that.
Yeah. So if you kill the Black Mage, he drops a boss that has a sealed weapon, and then you have to use the sealed weapon and only your secondary, whose stats will be revoked. And then you have to do a series of challenges. The first one is like kill Von Leon with 90% damage reduction and only wearing that clean sealed weapon and your secondary whose stats don't count, for example. And then gradually
awesome.
You go into like one of the final challenges is like solo Varus Hilla, for example. And then and then in between there's also a bunch of like kill the Black Mage this week. So it takes you like 8 months to fully unseal it. And then you get the weapon like fully. It comes out like 22 starred, spell traced. Legendary potential, epic bonus potential. You can flame it into like insane numbers, and that item counts as a lucky item. I don't know if you've known about lucky items.
No, never heard of it.
So a lucky item basically means if there's other set bonuses that are in effect, and the type of item exists in that set bonus, and there's at least already 3 items active in that set bonus, then your lucky item will count as an extra item for that set, regardless of how many sets there are with that. So lucky items can count for like multiple sets.
It's like all.
Like what?
Counts for everything. It just counts for everything.
Yeah, but only if let's say you have the lucky weapon in this sense. So all of the sets that have a weapon as part of their set, and you have at least 3 of that set equipped, your weapon will count as the next one. Yeah. So in that sense, people switch back to the CRA hat again, because then the weapon will count as the CRA weapon as well, giving you the 30% boss damage, and as the 5th set as well in Arcana, and giving you the 5-set Arcane set as well. And then you double dip. Yeah. There's not too many lucky items though. That's pretty rare. The one way that other people use lucky items is that the drops from the CRA bosses have those hats that they drop, right? The normal ones. And then they also have... So the normal ones don't, but you have like the Chaos versions. Those count as lucky. And then what some people might do is, like, let's say you skip Abzo weapon, you go straight into Arcane weapon. Like you're planning to skip Abzo, right? Then you could go for Fafnir weapon, and then CRA top and bottom, lucky hat, and then 4-set other, or 4 set other Abzo. So it counts as number 4 for CRA and number 5 for Abzo. And then once you get the Arcane weapon, then you switch it back into the CRA hat, and you kind of completely bypass.
I guess that's something that if I ever get to what they call 8,000 Legion, something I can consider doing.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Just give me a whole tier set.
Yeah, if you start like a whole new secondary, you're like, I have the droplets already. I'm just gonna like stick to Fafnir for a while, then make the jump, and then you can use it as a transitioning.
Whole Abzo lab.
Exactly. Yeah. And then just upgrade from 12-star Pencilier into 20-star Abzo, like that kind of jumps is what you can start making now.
So that means with what you said about CIA being, pretty much BIS, I should be okay using DMT to legendary those 2.
So there's 2 things about that. One, things that stick with you for a long time, you can definitely commit to.
Yes,
Two,
that's what I want to hear. You know, what exactly can I?
yeah.
What exactly will I be sticking with? My current equips. What exactly will I be keeping for a very long time or until the very end? What equips will I be immediately getting, such as the Princess No secondary? I should be getting that next week.
So remember, those are two main things, right? Like one is how long does it stick with you, but the other one is to which extent does it actually make you stronger. Those are the two things that go into it. So CRA definitely answers to that first one. Stays with you like till the end of time, for as far as we know. But the second part is to which extent does it make you stronger. It does, but there are other items that do it way better. So overcommitting and getting this to legendary now, I think in your current situation would be a mistake.
Oh, okay.
Because there's an added...
I get what you're saying, but I never considered that. I just thought getting something to legendary just out surpasses anything else.
So there's like a kind of like a hidden third thing is like how much does it cost to get a certain amount of damage on the item, because not every single item has the same types of lines of potential, right? And if there's more variance, then some items can cost more to get the same value out of it. And CRA specifically, their top, bottom, and pants have what we call more junk lines, just lines of potential that don't give you anything. And because there's more variance, because there's more variance.
So that's why they prioritize WSE.
Yes, also mainly, well, WSE also has quite a lot of junk lines, but it's mainly because they get percentage attack, boss, IED lines, and those just impact your damage way more than your CRA, which you'll be aiming for just percentage stat. So for CRA, I would advise you can definitely get them up to unique, but I would keep them unique and reroll with Master Craftsman cubes to get like 2 lines of useful stat, because the most junk lines come in when you get them actually up to that legendary. And that's when it will get...
Save it for,
yeah.
So for when I'm like loaded with mesos.
Yes, when everything is already epic or unique, your WSE is probably already legendary and like 2-line useful or maybe even higher, and then you make that big jump in getting, there's like a huge DMT maybe, and with an actual functioning sale, something like that. And then you have a lot of money, and then you just go like everything legendary, everything 2 lines, and you make like a huge upgrade there. Yeah.
And I thought with the cubes that I saved and the DMT coming up in a few days, so I still have the 3 packs of red, 3 packs of black. I just assumed that this was enough to get legendary on almost everything I needed, which is the CIA and... Well, okay, from your experience, how far can I go? How many equips can I get to legendary this weekend?
Well, there's we have a beautiful calculator made by someone in the community.
Oh yeah, I did. It's like what, 30? Yeah, I saw a calculator. It was like 30 black cubes for 1 legendary, something like that. And
was that on DMT or off DMT?
I can't remember.
Was it from Epic or from Unique? There's a lot of variance there. From Epic, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter which one we do here. Let's say black cubes from Epic. Level doesn't matter. To legendary any. During DMT. Yeah, so I think that's off DMT is like 30, and then on DMT is around 15. Is like the number, yeah. So you have 90, right? So on DMT, that would be 6 items for the black cubes. And then you mainly want to use the red cubes to re-roll within the legendary potential to get something useful on the items as well. Because just tearing up items just during DMT is good value, but then being left with no money and no potential just makes you a lot weaker than you were before. So you do want to keep some buffer to re-roll the potential as well.
Yeah, so my idea for DMT, this is just something that I think makes sense. I'm not sure how it actually works, and
no, go for it.
My idea is that you would use the black cubes to first raise them to legendary, and then as soon as they hit legendary, you switch to red cubes to get a decent or maybe acceptable potential. And once you have that decent acceptable potential, you would then go back to black cubes. Because black cubes means that you can choose between saving your current potential or choosing the new one. Is that...
So that's typically something people will do on weapons or on gloves. Really, so weapons, secondary, maybe emblem, and gloves, because those are like where you get all of that damage. For everything else, you'll typically just keep what you have, wait until the next big sale when you can have a lot of cubes, and then just mass red cube and roll over it again. Because so the thing is with black cubes, some people just like swear by black cubes and they do that all the time. But these are also the people who farm like an average of like 4 bill a day and are literally like made out of money. And every time an event comes around, they have like 200 bill lying around.
Not something I can do.
Well, not right now at least. Because it does increase the chance of getting double prime lines, right? You get like 12, 12, 9 on sub 160 or 13, 13, 10 on 160. It increases your chances with black cubes, and you can save previous lines. But what red cubes do is you can just have more rolls within the same amount of money as black cubes. You can just roll way more times. So the average cost of actually getting just the regular 13, 10, 10 or the 12, 9, 9 outcome is way higher per cost, because you could just have so many more rolls and so many more outcomes. So for weapons and secondaries, emblems, and maybe gloves, why we use black cubes there is because for gloves specifically, you want to use the black cubes for that chance of double primes, so you can see if you can hit 2 lines of critical damage, because that's really, really fucking good. And if you already have like a line of crit damage and a line of stat, that you can always resort to that. And with your weapon, your emblem, and your secondary, typically you rely for a very great extent either on the IED, either on the boss damage, either on the attack to be able to kill at the current speed that you are. And just re-rolling that and having to settle for something that's significantly worse can actually hurt your killing potential a lot and hurt your growth. And as a result, using black cubes to be able to fall back on it has enough value there to be able to use black cubes. For everything else, you'll mainly just be like mass red cubing, unless you're trying to min-max getting 2 lines of meso obtain, 2 lines of drop, or a combination on your accessories. There, black cubes can come into play as well, but that's like a very specific class of spending you have to be in to go that kind of route.
So can I hear what you think how I should cube this weekend, from your opinion?
So with the cubes you have,
with what cubes I have, with the current equips I have right now, and the imminent equips I will be receiving at next reset, which is Princess Snow secondary, possible, it should be 100% CIA weapon. I have 11 tokens right now. That's number 2. A shoulder which I can buy tonight when after we finish this. Once I farm out the weekly. What else is there?
So which of these things, well, like with everything I just said, and what access do you have that you know, which ones do you think might be, which ones are you like, okay, definitely those?
From what I know, I should definitely get legendary on my emblem, my Princess Snow secondary, and
yeah, those are definitely the most important. Yeah. And then
Sweetwater, my Sweetwater tattoo. Apparently that's forever as well, right?
Yes, and nothing can transpose into that, and if you do later ever blow up, you get a trace, so it's recoverable as long as you have the narrows. Yeah, so that's a sound investment as well.
And maybe the Absol Lab shoulder.
Yep, that would also be one. Yep, you're keeping that for a long time.
And the things I'm not sure about are the rings. I have no clue about rings. Apparently, like, there's no one's sure is Kana's treasure actually BIS or whatever. Like, do I legendary that? I'm not sure.
So it can be, but there's only one. So if it blows up, it's immediately out the window, and it can only be best in slot if you get it past 17 and risk that boom. So that's why it's always kind of like up in the air.
Okay.
There are a bunch of rings that can be better. You're talking about like the Glona ring from Phantom Forest, which has an insane upgrade cost, and if you blow up, you can literally ruin like years of progress if you blow up at a high amount of stars. To give you to put it into perspective, because of the resources it costs to upgrade it, when it came out, if you did your dailies every single day and had average luck, to get a 22-star Glona's Heart would take you about 10 years on average. They have since doubled the rewards, so it's only 5 years now. And you can also you can also get coins from the Golux shop now if you use some of your Golux coins for it. And there are events as well that you can use to speed up the process, especially in the lower amount. So there's like the 5-star scroll you can use from Maple Tour, and there's a up to 10. If you succeed Star Force, you get 1+1. So you can kind of like scum the stars in the beginning and use that event as well to get to 15. But once you are at like 17 or above, there's you can like ruin like a year or 2 years, maybe 3 years of progression just by blowing it up. The other thing is there's a ring now that can drop from Chaos Gloom, which probably a little bit out of your purview at this point. Little bit further than what you're aiming for right now. But yeah, like if you get lucky and you get high Star Force on that can also completely blow it out of the water. Aside from that, the only ones that are like more guaranteed is your Meister ring to 22, because you can just, as long as you have the resources, you can make backups. And you can also buy extra rings now, so the Reinforced and Superior at high Star Force are also definitely on the playing field. With that all being said, your accessories stay with you for a long time, and once you get them to Legendary, you can get Meso-Obtain, you can get Drop Rate. And that makes it so that whenever you're training, you're making more money, you're getting more drops, and that'll just boost your progress. So those are definitely also items you want to be looking at, yes.
Okay.
Your Alien Ring, though, cannot even get Potential, so that one's not.
Yeah, I didn't even add that to my photos.
Yeah. But the other rings, yes, Chrono Treasure will stay with you for a while, specifically if you get it to 17, because then it's like at the level or above a Stacked Synergy Ring and a Master SS Ring. The other two, no set bonuses, but because of their good base stats, definitely stay with you for a long time as well. And when they don't anymore, they just...
These two as well.
Yeah, and when you don't anymore, they just become specific drop rate rings anyway, or specific Meso-Obtain rings anyway, and then they will already be where you want it to be, so...
Okay.
The only thing that will overtake it is if you get like Reinforced, Superior, or Meister at 17 stars or above, which is still very far away because Golluck's progression is very late now.
Yeah, Golluck's isn't very nice.
Yeah, so what I would do is, yeah, so Emblem Legendary, Princess No Secondary Legendary. I would get your Shoulder and your Tattoo to Legendary. Get your CRA to Unique. I would do that. How close are you to the... Do you think you can get the glove before then? Because you have 1 coin now, right? Do you have another Lotus run before? Because it's...
How does the
yeah, you have
drop
another...
work? If it lets, I'm definitely gonna kill it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna.
Yeah, it's not 100%
be part of the run.
Yeah.
But is it a 100% drop?
Oh, so the way the run works is if you die at the end, you have to respawn and re-hit the monster before it dies. Otherwise, you can't get you don't get drops. That's like an important.
Oh yeah, this is the question I had. So my friend
important.
keeps telling me, make sure you hit it, make sure you hit it. He's it's like he's begging me to make sure I hit it.
Yeah, otherwise you just don't get anything. Like he just loots everything.
How does it exactly work? If let's say I hit it at the start of the fight,
God,
okay, and die once,
it's next
do I
on.
need to hit it again after I respawn?
If you've died and you haven't hit it since you died, then basically you're not on the aggro list, and people who are not on the aggro list don't get loot.
So I need to hit it again each time I die.
Yes, or just don't die.
Oh yeah.
Why are you dying in the first place?
That's
yeah.
really my first time in Lucid. Wait, no, not Lotus.
Lotus, yeah.
The lasers were spinning around. I wasn't sure what to do.
Yeah, no. Well, avoid them, but how to do that is the tricky part, because the bots like seal you, slow you, invert you into them. Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had the same trouble because my mom was playing her Hayato now, and I'm like trying to carry her for those same drops, and then one time she died right at the end, and then respawned, didn't hit it, and then doesn't get anything, and then there goes the whole week of the... Because even if you die out and stuff, it counts, and the person who's in clears it, it counts as you're clear for the week, so...
Yeah.
That's how that works, yeah.
So I should make sure I hit it, definitely.
Yes, yes. Hit it, and then stay safe. Stay somewhere where hopefully you can see the boss, so you know what he's doing, or go to the exact opposite corner where you're as far away from him as possible, basically.
Okay.
And Damien has some like unpredictable movements, so yeah, don't feel too bad that you die, because you will. It's especially in the beginning. There's so many scenarios that you can't even like think of that can happen. As you get more and more experience, you'll just know more and more of the scenarios, so you'll be able to play around more and more of them. But it's it's an interesting boss fight for sure. Okay, yeah, so for so we're talking about, so getting the CRA definitely to unique, right? But keeping it there, so that'll also be some of your black cubes.
So not even go for legendary, even with DMT. It's not worth it.
No, more worth to throw extra money at your emblem, your secondary, and then later maybe even on your flame for your weapon. For the Fake Lab even, because it's going to stick with you for a long time, rather than going legendary on CRA now. I don't think that's a good investment. And then if you have left over, consider the rings and then meso and drop rate on there to make sure that you make more money while you're training. Because basically what you're doing when you're getting them from epic up to legendary, you're trying to accommodate for the loss of stat, but like one offline, you know, like a percentage all stat line or a percentage luck line on legendary is still better than what you have now on potential. So it's an upgrade both in damage and in the utility of the meso and the drop rate.
Yeah.
Is where you're looking at that. And then that's probably going to be all your money and all your cubes.
So, rolling on DMT day, the only thing DMT affects is the tier up rate.
Tier up rate of red and black cubes, yeah.
Okay, so basically once I get it to legendary on DMT day, I don't need to... I shouldn't keep rolling on it, right? I should just wait for another day.
Yeah, just when you have any money. Yeah, unless it really negatively impacts your kill speed. But I see that your emblem is epic and your secondary I don't think has any potential. So even if you don't roll anything on legendary, your kill speed will stay like roughly the same. But yeah, if you see like 2 lines of attack on your secondary and like 2 lines of attack on your emblem, you're gonna be, and you hit the Fake Soul app, you're gonna be so much stronger. It's already gonna plus the boost node thing we talked about, like you're probably already like doubling your damage most likely with just those changes. Yeah.
Awesome. Can I what about my Android? I got that today. Is there anything I can do with that to make it stronger?
Yeah, you could like, I don't know. If I would say wait until you have one of those expiring epic potential scrolls and then just throw that on and then throw some occult cubes. But I wouldn't invest too much into it because it's a low level item. Yeah, it can get potential, but because it's such a low level item, even if you get it to a higher tier of potential, it represents a very small amount of
it's level 30.
Of upgrade. Yeah. So at epic, I think it gets like 2% top lines. At legendary, it's 633. So that's like what for higher level items, that's like their epic tier basically.
Yeah.
Although it is an item with low amount of junk lines, so proportionally it costs less money, but also proportionally it gives you less percentages.
Much less stats.
Yeah. So you want to save all that money because of the Absolab that you're gonna run into. You want to be able to flame that, Star Force that, and cube that. Yeah, that's way more important.
Okay. I think that's most of everything. And I think I already kept you over the 1 hour and a half.
Yeah, I think this was a good session. Yeah. But I think we got like a lot of but I don't mind all of this. It's like really fun for me because I can hear that you're like making a lot more connections, and when I ask you like, so what would you do with this information, you're like going to the right ways like immediately. So you're, I can tell that you're picking it up. And there's a few things exactly that you don't know yet, but I have a lot. You know, you're still you're finding some of my commands.
Yeah. Resources as well.
Yeah, so as you look more in depth in those, you'll figure out more and more like, oh, this connects to this thing I said, or he said, I guess, if you're talking about me, and then this thing connects to the thing he said there. And then if you're playing any other character, it'll also should make way better sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem. If there's any 1 or 2 specific things about this that you're still like unclear about, you can always message me or just save up for the next session. One thing I will say, like with your go for it.
You go.
Oh, one thing I wanted to say, like for Legion, it can be very tedious and it can feel very weird to like not play your character in order to make your character stronger. That's like very counterintuitive. What I always advise people just at the end is like try to do a little bit of Legion progression every day, just a little bit.
Oh yeah, and that's one final question I think is very important for me. Is so I was trying to level up my Legion over my main. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? What should I do? Should I focus more on Legion or should I focus more on my main?
So I would say basically everything we've been talking about now kind of like fits into the progression command. And I would say it's a balance. I would say everything in this game is a balance.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say try to follow this balance, I would say, that is on screen right now.
Progression?
Yeah. If you follow this, I think you can never really make any huge mistakes. So you can use this to kind of see like, okay, I'm really short on Star Force. Next thing I should be doing is looking for Star Force events. Or I'm really low on stat, I should be cubing. Or my Legion is really low, maybe I should focus on this. And then if you want to focus on...
Oh, this is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to focus on Legion, then you can use exclamation mark links. That has all the link skills and all the Legion buffs of all the characters in the game. So you can see which ones will be more beneficial at any given time.
Yeah. Honestly, this hour and a half just flew through, and I wish it was longer. There's so many more questions I would have had as
Uh-huh.
well. But I'll save it for when I kill what hard lucid.
Yeah, hard listen.
Have our next session.
I'll see you in a year.
Wait, can I ask you, what are your how far are you into the game right now? You personally?
Me personally, so I have every class at 200 at 5th job.
Okay.
So it's like an 8.4k Legion, I think. I've had that for a long time though. I haven't really leveled characters. I've been leveling a few characters, but it's like for achievements, but not really progress.
Well,
I have
more than me.
Yeah, so I have two characters that
zero.
do hard lucid and hard will every week, and one of those I could push. So one of them is at 260 and the other one's at 250. The one at 260 I could push the extra 5 levels and probably start practicing like the Gloom and Darknell and then maybe the hard versions of that boss. But that's
Black Mage.
That's well, so that would be like a that would still be a step like way before that. Black Mage, you just have to be 275 because Reboot has a lot of reduced damage based on level difference, and the Black Mage himself is 270 and 275 in his phases. And if you're not at least 275, you just lose already so much damage that there's like no chance really.
Has Black Mage been killed on the server?
Not yet. People are waiting right now on familiars to come back next week.
Oh, this is our chance. This is my chance.
Your chance, yeah. You got a week to make it happen. Yeah, but it's like a clear per month boss, and then I have a 250 marksman. So I try to have like a few classes at every stage. So I have like 2 at like the hard lucid, hard will, and then I have one that can basically do normal will and normal lucid. And then one that can do like, struggle, Lotus and Damien, and then a few others that can like solo CRA, and then a few others that can struggle CRA, so that whenever somebody's like organizing a party but they need someone, then I can always have like a character I can jump on and like join in, because that's kind of like what I want to have for the channel and for the community, is that everyone's always like, just trying to do stuff together. Then I'm trying to kind of lead by example there. So the next thing would be to either boost my hero to be able to go to hard bosses as well, or fund my marksman, basically those options, I guess. There's like min-maxing I can do on my main character, but at this point my upgrades are looking at like north of 60 bill per upgrade, and it's that amount of money I'd rather spend on another character to get it from like 0 to 90 rather than to get my existing character from like 92 to 93, because that's kind of what your upgrades start costing at a certain point.
I don't know whether to feel better or worse about, even you've only progressed up to, like, I'm not saying that you progressed little, but just to where you are.
Well, I'm not, so no, I don't take
I don't know whether I should feel like...
I don't take offense to that or anything, but like my goal is not really to like...
Of course, no. What I'm saying is
I'm trying to do like a combination of both progressing horizontally and vertically, which hurts you in both ways, right? Somebody who does like purely horizontally can have like every character at 220 being able to Lotus and Damien, and someone who does purely vertically can be like Black Mage ready and still have like an 8.5k Legion, but all of those characters are like kind of shit. My main purpose has always been having fun, helping other people have fun by informing people and creating a community and streaming. That's like my main goal. So that definitely goes at the expense of how strong my characters could be. Definitely. Someone who plays the same amount of hours as me and who tries to min-max even remotely will be way further in the game than me. Definitely. I think I've trained 10 hours in the last 3 months, like, or 2 months maybe. I
was just shocked. Like, it feels like you know so much about the game, and you clearly, you've spent a lot of time and effort on this. And then, just for me to reach just 10% of what you've achieved will take me,
If you really like, really just throwing it all on one pile on one character though, and you're not like streaming and answering people's questions and all of that stuff at the same time, you can go much quicker than I can. Well, if I do my dailies off stream, all of them, it takes me about 2.5 hours. Whereas if I'm streaming and I have an 11-hour stream, sometimes I don't even get all my dailies done.
Oh wow!
It's a huge difference. Yeah.
So
let me get on with my dailies, okay?
All right. Well, I'll leave you to it, Scar. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, just dive into the.
See when I beat hard losers.
Yeah. Make sure you don't forget little old me when you made it and you're big dog on campus. Okay.
You know, when I kill Black Mage, you know, in a bigger spam, it'll be, you know, all thanks to, you know, www.twitch.tv Scar.
Yeah. Give me that shout out when you're. But yeah, like delve into the commands, and yeah, if you have any other questions, you can like message me up on Discord or just ask in the chat.
Yep, sure.
It'll probably be interesting.
Thank you.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
You too.
Good
luck with dailies.
Yes, thank you. All right, see ya.
See you, man.